Oh boy. Hey, sometimes things just work out that way. I knew when I took these boards and they were twisted, I was going to have an issue on the surfacer and things just got progressively worse. Let me clarify something. Take a look at my boards. I have 3 boards that are all about 5.5 inches wide. When I was talking to you guys the last time about how I want to set this up, and I said to you, I wanted to leave 1 board wider and put that in the middle, and 2 boards narrower and have them flanking that middle section on either side. Then I started thinking, well, how can I do it different? And then I showed you the wider one and then the 2 smaller ones. But in my mind, I was thinking, hey, none of these pieces are cut. So what I could do, and I'm doing this to clarify, just so that you guys know that I'm not thinking that I'm going out of my mind. Yes, there is chalk. But if I have 3 pieces that are all this size, none of these pieces have been cut. The other thing that I could do, of course, not set it up this way, I could have a wider piece, and then the smaller piece in the middle, because none of these are cut. So my question to the cameraman and to you guys is, would you rather see it this way or would you rather see it this way? This is the universal symbol for it's not going to be that way, okay? If I look at these, and I have the narrower on the middle, I don't know. What do you think? Would you rather have the narrower pieces on the outside? I got to do this mathematical in my mind here. Right now, I said all those pieces are about 5 inches or so, 5.5 inches. If I have it this way, and I make this piece, let's say 5 1/4, overall I want everything to be at 13, so here's a 1/2 inch here for that spacer, there's a 1/2 inch for that spacer. So if I take 6 1/4, subtract it from 13, because 13 was my number that I had to get. To do this, you could always use a calculator, you could do it the old-fashioned way, 12 4 4s, so that's 3/4, 6 3/4. So each one of these side pieces would be half of that. Half of 6 3/4 would be 3/8. So now I have these as 3 3/8 on either side and the piece 5 1/4 in the middle. Or do I have the 3 3/8 piece in the middle and the 5 1/4 piece on the outside? You know what? I think I'm going to go back to this. No. Just kidding. I think I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to change this and go with this one, staying away from that one. So I'm going to cut 2 pieces, my best 2 pieces, 5 1/4 inches wide, and then the one that's left, I'll make it 3 3/8. What do you think of that? No, but that doesn't work out. Oh, so I'd have to do it mathematically again. Okay, let's say if I make this 5, if I make this 5, there's a 1/2 inch, so that's 11. So that middle piece, if I left it at 5, would only be 1 1/4. I'm sorry, would only be 2 inches. See what I'm saying? 2 inch piece. Not happy with that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change this. I'm going to make these 4, let me go crazy, 4.5. 4.5, 4.5, be 9, would be 10. So I would make this middle piece 3. That's what I'm going to do. And I think that'll look a little bit more symmetrical. So out of the 2 best ones, I'm going to get 4.5. And out of the worst one, I get 3. Come on, let's see if we can do this. I told you thinking was the hard part, didn't I? I've always said it. Thinking's the hard part. All right, what's the best? I like this one. I like this one. This one right here, if you look at that streak right there, I can tell you something about this. This is the center of the tree. That's that pith. If you look at this, you see these concentric rings? What's not good about that is this board tends to twist, bow, and move. So this one, I kind of want the least of it. As a matter of fact, if I can get away with it, I needed that piece to be 3 inches. I can probably just hit a 3 before I hit that pith if I do it that way. Pith. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch it back. I'll make it 4 3/4. I want to take as little out of this board as I can. So this will definitely be my centerpiece. I'm going to make these 2 pieces 4 3/4. Here's my jointed edge. I get rid of this. This board is solid altogether. I'll go 4 3/4 out of this. All right, what are we going to do? Let's raise the blade to the correct height. Moving that crank wheel clockwise, too high. Let me lower it. Okay. 4 3/4, kids, for sure. So right about there, I'm at 4 3/4. I'm going to lock that down. I'm going to cut these 2 pieces to that size. Machine edge up against the fence. No sleeves. L with my left hand. Right thumb on the back end. I'm starting to push it in. I'm going to hold it with my left. Grab my push lock with my right. Again, the guard is down so you can see the saw cutting the wood. The only reason. If you were here, or if I were here and you were here, and you didn't care about the saw, I would definitely have that guard in place. Same exact way. Let me do my math again, of course, because the thinking's the hard part. I want it to come out to be 13. Each one of these pieces is 4 3/4. If I combine them, comes out to be 9 1/2. So 9 1/2, and I'm going to have a half for one of those spacers, a half for the other. There's 10 1/2. 10 1/2, I need the whole thing to come out to be 13, which is going to give me 2 1/2 inches out of here. And I'll make that cut. I got an issue though. I kind of want to keep this side because this side has more of that pith. So what I want to do is I want to clean up this edge. To do that, I have a choice. I could either go over there and joint it. I have a jointed edge here already. What I could do is just move this and cut a little bit off of that edge. And that's what I'm going to do. So instead of going over there and joining it, I'll rip it. Push off. So now I know this is the edge I want to put up against the fence. Flip it around. Do you remember how wide that has to be? How wide?
Do you remember?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
2.5.
2.5 inches. Thank you, cameraman. And thank you, studio audience. I knew it was 2.5. I really didn't. I'm going to move it to 2.5 inches. Lock the old Fencerooski down. And I'm going to make my cut. When you're cutting anything near the pith, you do need to be especially concentrated on this because it could get sloppy. You could have tension. A lot of times you'll see splitters whenever you're ripping, just as a matter of safety, that it'll take the board and make sure it stays apart rather than pull back together. I just want to be super careful when I'm cutting this. Oh, yeah. I'm running into some resistance there. I don't know if you can see that. Take a look at what happened. I told you it's the center of the tree right there. But notice how this cut is larger. Look at how this closed back in on itself. So as I continued to push, it was actually squeezing up against the blade, preventing me from making that cut. If you had a splitter there, it would prevent that piece from coming together, but it would still require you to push hard on it. The other thing you could do is what I did was kind of raise it up and recut it. Go back into the same cut. If I go back into that same cut, this shouldn't close up any more than it closed up before. So that's something to keep in mind. I've seen people cut on the radial arm saw with something like that happen, and it was definitely super dangerous. Use my push back. I'm just going to push this all the way through. Uh-oh. Let's take a look at some tension here. Is that the center of the board or what? See how that closed back up again. That's not very good. Perhaps it's time to get another board. This fiasco continues. Is there any way I could cut this and salvage this without killing myself, without killing thyself? If you keep on recutting, and it usually doesn't happen that often, but if you go through that situation and you just keep on recutting and stop, when you hit an area where it closes up, just stop and then recut it. It will usually clean up the cut that closes in on itself. So here's my board right here. I don't like this edge because that's where it closed in on itself. What I'm going to do is just move the fence in a hair. I'm going to see if I can't chew that up. And over here, there's nothing that's going to close in on itself. So there's my board. So made it through that point. Now, I want to cut these to the length that they have to be. Where are we going to do that? Let's go to the chop saw and hopefully we'll have more success. Let's see, do I need anything? Yeah, I need my tape measure. Oh, let me lower the blade. Come on, kids.
You thought this would be an easy project.
Yeah, this is going to be a piece of cake. First thing I want to do is square up an end, square up the better of the two. These all look pretty decent. This I want to get rid of. This I could square up. This one I thought was my best board. It is. So here's what I'm going to do. Just take the air off of this. To measure anything because all I'm doing is I'm squaring an end. This might be my wife's Christmas and birthday gift. It's such a physically challenging project. Holy cow. Now the question becomes, what length am I cutting this to? Well, they were all longer than what I needed them to be. They were going to overhang it. What I want to do is I want to take the shortest out of these three and probably cut them all to about that size, 29 3/4, 29 1/4, 29 1/4. So 29 1/4, if I make them 29, I'll make them 29. Let's do this. That's my squared end. Let me measure 29 inches off of this. I bet you on all these other YouTube channels when you watch, everything works out for somebody. Means those people are going to heaven, and well, you know where I'm headed to. I could use my regular stop on this, so I'll slide it over, position it, and I'll make my... Again, 29 is the longest I can get something out of it. So yeah, I did leave a shadow of a pencil line. I don't know if you could see that. It's the first thing I did right all day. Oh boy. I have a squared end here. Yes, I do. Thank goodness I marked it. Good thing about spruce is that it has a nice smell to it. It did clean up that little part that was a little funky. Last one. Tell you the truth, this is where you kind of wish you had bought your material at a Home Depot or someplace, because when you get whatever somebody gives you for free, it is just loaded with challenges. Come on. Before I go any further than this, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think that I want to leave these boards as they are, sharp edges. What I did was I set the rounding over bit to a full 3/8 rounding over. And what I want to do is I'm going to bullnose all these pieces, and then I'm going to attach the whole thing. Let's take a walk. How much time are we on this? Oh, we have time, possibly. So we're probably an hour into this glue up or so. Take a look at how much this stuff has swollen. Am I screaming? Take a look. All right. You're going to notice that stuff's going to be all over the place, which is good and bad. It's good from the standpoint as it stiffens the whole project up. It's bad because when I flip this whole thing around and attach my top, if I touch this, it's going to be on my hand. So that's not the good part. You guys should know about rounding over. If I'm rounding over this whole thing, actually bullnosing all these pieces, what part do I do first? The ends. I'm always going to do the ends first, and then I'm going to do the edges. What I don't care for is that the thickness of this looks thick. If I just put it on like this, it would kind of stand out like the nose on my face. So I want to kind of blend it out a little bit, and that's why I'm going to bullnose it. The top end first. Of course, I did this before I checked to see if this bit was set. And you see that it has this little bit of a lip to it. That's not good. I don't want that. So what I want to do is I want to drop the bit a bit. Yeah, bit a bit. Better to a profile of that 3/8 bit. Question is this a problem? People run into this all the time. I could have that on the bottom. I could situate this so that this is on the bottom. The other thing I could always do is I could take a scraper and just blend it out, and now you won't notice it. On the bottom, I don't think that you would notice it either because it is going to be outside, but stuff like that bothers me. Let's do this. I want to see what it's going to look like. So if I just round it over the top, that's what I'm going to have. But because I'm going to see this from the end, I still think it just looks too thick. So I'm going to round over this bottom in the hopes that this is going to make this look a little bit thinner. Because to me, it still sounds, or it stands up a little too proud, right? Were you laughing, cameraman? You were? I'll do them all now. Should I do that fast motion? Yeah. I don't think that looks nearly as thick. It's what I had on the other one. See, I think that looks better. I think that's a lot more more livable. I'm okay with that. I think that looks pretty cool. Right? I'll do the other big ones. I'll bullnose those. And then we'll get this piece attached. I don't know if we're going to have time to attach it today. What do you think, kids? You good? The reason why I do the ends first, when I do the edge, that should clean up. On these, I want to decide what side do I want face up. Again, I have the pith here. And the pith is usually that concentric ring mark. And if I had a choice, I always want to put the growth rings down. Because if this area gets wet and it has to swell, it will usually curve that way, calling it the cup. If I do it this way and it swells cup up, then anytime it rains, there's going to be water that's sitting on here. So I kind of want that thing going down this way. But you'll be able to see this, how that's going to look. And then I'll put the other bigger board on this side. No! Remember that back there? That was pretty funny, huh? This will go on the outside. This will go on the center. I'll have that 1/2 inch gap in between the two. And I'm going to screw it from the underside on that cleat right into here, which will stiffen that up and bring this together. I like this bench a lot better than the other bench. I don't know about you. Maybe because this thing is old and it was never sanded up. I did surface that side down, but I kind of like my bench better. Last one to bullnose. With the miter gauge when I do the end. So miter gauge with the end grain first, edge grain second. I'm just checking the rings to see if there's a way that I should have this fit in. I don't know why, but I like this side better. The other thing, when I was surfacing and it kind of got caught up, there's a little mark from the surfacer that I just want to take off. There was one there and there's one over here. Yeah, I know it's going outside. Yeah, I know I'm not sanding it, but what the hey. Good. So now this one is going to go right. Just like that. Man, how cute is that? Now that's a cute little garden bench, or what? You think we're ready to put it together? 25 minutes? I'm putting it together. 13, that's my number. I'm all set. Let's see if we can't do this. We'll try to do it smartly. This side I want facing up. This side I said I want facing up, and this one. So watch the way I'm going to do this. I'm going to lift this up and get my hands all gluey. No, I'm not going to do that. I'll move this over to this side. So this one is going this way. This one's going this way. This one's going this way. No, I'm not going to cough. How would I set this up so that I get them all exactly even? Well, and I space them out perfectly. How about if you did this? How about if you did this, Johnny, and cut 1/2-inch spacers here and placed them there? Put that up against there, put this one up against there. Place that just like that. What do you think of that? Isn't that a grand idea? Not bad, young man. So now the question is, can we attach the top? I believe we can. Bop, bop. Excuse me while I whip this out. What is this? We had a tri-square. We had a carpenter square. We have a big square. The question, what is this called? And if you're a carpenter, you should know. This is a carpenter square. A carpenter square gives you angle readouts for laying out rafters and joists. There's a ton of information on this, and if you could read one of these and understand it, you're literally a carpenter genius. We use it for situations like this where I want to square something up and I want to make sure they're all exactly even. But if you're a carpenter, an accomplished carpenter, somebody who's framing houses, doing rafter and joist work, you know how to use one of those things, because it's really the most important thing that you really want to understand and know. Let's see if we can't make this a little bit better. Is that a little? There we go. There we go. Nice and square. Pretty good. I'll put another clamp on this side. Bop, bop. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to put a table on this. Centered, spaced out. I'm trying to do this without getting me all gluey, because if I was going to do this on my own, I probably would have waited, I don't know, maybe 5-6 hours. What I want to do is have the same amount of space on both sides, okay? I could do that by eye, but the cameraman's sort of chasing me out of the way here. I'm kind of doing it by eye. I haven't taken a measurement yet, but I want to center this. If I take my handy dandy tape measure, it gives me a measurement about 1 3/8 on this side, gives me a measurement about 1.5 inches on this side. So I'm gonna move it this way just a bit. Take another measurement. I get a measurement about 1 7/16 inches. And I get a measurement of about 1 7/16 inches. So this to me looks like it's pretty centered. The next part, I want to attach it. So I want to drill a hole. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put 2 holes for my screws going from that cleat into this top. I'm going to put one here. I'm going to put one over here. And I'm going to tell you something that's really important. How close this is to the end is a real issue. Because there's plenty of times when people will bury a screw in here and this area will crack. Who knows, it might happen to me. I probably want, because that piece is maybe about 7/8 thick, I probably want 2-inch screws here. Let me get my 2s. And what I'm going to do is just put one in. And again, just like Joey Stapkowitz said, ease it in. Ease it, ease it, ease it, ease it. So that didn't crack. It laid pretty well. Ease it in, ease it in, ease it in, ease it. That's it. There's the torque. I'm done. Next one. I want to put one where my center one is. But if you notice, the clamp is in the way. So I'm just going to put this at a slight angle. Sometimes if you drill at an angle, that pilot hole, which is only 7/64, could break if you move it from side to side. I really thought with the way things have been going for me, that that's what was going to happen. As I tighten it, it will pull down that space. I'll do the same thing on this side. Watch, now it'll crack. I plan to go back on those 4 3/4 ends. I'm probably going to put another screw here and another screw here. What I want to do is just put these in, stand this thing up, and maybe you guys, by the grace of God, will look at a finished product that for the most part was pretty easy to do until I got to the surfacing part. Then everything got a little moody. There's my crack. I don't know if you heard that, but it started to crack because I started to torque that down a little too much. I could back this up a little bit. Just going to back that up off a hair. The best part about doing this project is that Ann's birthday isn't until June the 26th. Oh, I mean June the 23rd. I made that mistake one time. I made her a coffee table and I brought it down 3 days late. I was so excited. I haven't seen the coffee table in years. God knows what she did with it. I think it was just a bad memory for her. You don't want to miss a birthday by 3 days. What do you think? Can I take this clamp off? I mean, I have the screws on there. I think I can. Bop, bop. Flip it. Stay away from the Gorilla Glue. Spacer comes out. Look at that, knot stays in. Spacer comes out. Thank goodness I did my push-ups. Here we go, kids. Come on. Come on. Come on. Well, I went to a garden party to reminisce with my old friends. Well, it's all right now. I learned my lesson well. You see, you can't please everyone, so you got to please yourself. What do you think? I got it. Finally done. All you have to do is stay with it, persevere. It's never easy. It's never like a YouTube video where somebody does it in 2 seconds. I tried to get my chainsaw, my steel chainsaw to start. On YouTube, they do it in 1 minute and 28 seconds. They hear it burp, then they move it up, then the thing starts. I go for days, I shouldn't say days, but for probably about 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden, I'm ready to pack it in. I pull the thing, and God knows why it starts. It's like that with woodworking. You just have to pay the piper. Try to think of everything that could happen. Be aware that things may happen and understand that every project is different. Good luck. I think I really like this size much better than the other size. If you wanted to, it's an easy project to make out of simple 2x4s and something you could certainly do at home. All right? Have a good one. We'll see you for the next project.